Hey, hey! Happy Friday and happy Digest Day! I had so much fun putting these digests together last season that I'm doing it again because it's such a nice chance for me to look around and look at what's inspiring me and then share that with you. So if you have enjoyed these, tune in on Fridays for short and sweet digests, particularly this season, looking for inspiration on people who've changed, who've made pivots, who have had big decisions thrust upon them or have chosen themselves to switch it up and do something different. Hoping you'll follow along and be inspired as well every Friday. Happy Friday! Big win this week for Wisconsin. Congratulations to Susan Crawford and Jill Underly. And also a huge congratulations to the people in this state who helped get her elected. And I would count so many of Cream City Dreams guests as people who did that. People like Kate Duffy of Motherhood for Good, consistently putting out content to keep us informed. Same with Kristen Bry and her op-eds for the Journal Sentinel. Lisa and Cheryl of the Persisters and all of the people that they are guiding through actions and concrete steps and things that we can do that people did to help get Judge Crawford elected. People like Chloe Longmire, who are consistently reminding us that while this may be a win, the work is not over. And we need to keep on keeping on with the fight. And along those lines, people like Angela Lang of Block, encouraging community and voting in community and voting for community, including people like Erin Los Cutraro, encouraging women to run for office because we need more women in office, and including the women who are in office, like Representative Deb Andraka. So many women on this podcast who are leading the charge when it comes to our elections and the fight for everyone to have a seat at the table. I could go on and on with all of the niches that each of our guests works towards and for, whether it's trans youth or homeless youth or mothers or artists or poets or literacy, or the environment, or our health, or gun safety. So many topics have come up on this podcast, and so many women are working to keep us informed and inspired to keep on keeping on, and I am so grateful for all of the guests. And if you would like to know more about any of those niches, by all means, go back and check out previous episodes. They are timeless. They talk about the women and what they do, and that doesn't change. This week, I am inspired by the conversation that I had with this week's guest, Harper Martin. It came out on Wednesday. If you haven't listened to it, go back and give it a listen because it is very inspiring. And we talk about creativity, and we talk about her role as an art teacher and how important it is to nurture the creativity in kids, and now where she's at with aging adults. And this idea that at some point in our lives, somebody knocked that creativity out of us, whether it was an art teacher, hopefully it wasn't, but whether it was, or somebody else who said, that's not how you draw a house, or that's not what this is supposed to look like. And then all of a sudden we stop calling ourselves creative. And this week I have been inspired by my own kiddos and attempting to encourage their creativity and not knock it out of them. I have my middle son who is learning to play the electric guitar and the bass, and he has been so excited this week to learn Stairway to Heaven, which is fine because it's not Sweet Child of Mine, which has been on repeat for the last 2 years, but his recital has passed and he played that one, so it's time to choose a new song. So I'm happy about that. And to watch his determination to stick with a song, he will come take himself up from school and sit in our playroom and play that song over and over and over and over. And I just remember that time in childhood of having that much time to devote to something. I wish I could do that. I wish I had that time to sit for an hour and just fiddle with a guitar. I had it once, and so I can play chords, but I didn't go much further than that. And he is already miles past where I am, and I love it. I love watching that. And then my daughter and her friend often play together after school. And they asked this week, they saw me doing some work on the podcast here in my little attic office studio. And they said, can we make a podcast? And I was like, sure. What's your podcast going to be about? And they went away and they came back. They had a script. They had an idea. I gave them a smidge of guidance on, what you would want to tell your audience about in terms of what a podcast is and what it was going to do for an audience. And they came back with this.
Welcome to Calm It Down, the podcast where we help people calm down. We make sure that they're not afraid of anything and they're ready to do what they're supposed to. My name is Zoe. And my name is Maeve. We are your hosts. Each week, we will talk with different guests about what they're confused or angry or anxious about or stressed out to help them figure out what they need to not be stressed out. So then you can learn to calm it down too. We hope you enjoy us every week.
And now tell me, listeners, who wouldn't want to be a guest on this podcast? Who doesn't need help calming it down? Especially in these times we're living in. And that was just the intro. You should actually hear the episode. Maybe one day we'll get that out into the real world. But I love the creativity. I love the enthusiasm that comes with having an idea and running with it. May we all have that childlike excitement for something. And the last thing I will leave us with is this idea. I was on a Zoom this week about attention, with the idea of where attention goes, energy flows. I know we've all heard that mantra. And the woman who was leading the Zoom had us do some writing exercises, and we had to make a list of all the things that we have to do. Like why it's so hard to let go of all the distractions. What do we have to do that keep us in this moment of attention chaos and attention deficits, right? And so we made a whole list. I have to do this. I have to do this. For me, it was things like, I have to promote my podcast. I have to shout out my guests. I have to get stuff done. And all of that is mostly online. I have to answer quickly or people think I'm ignoring them. Like all the things that I have to do that take my attention away from the present, right? And she asked us then the next thing after we'd made that really long list, or for me, it was a really long list of all these things I have to do. Then she had us reframe it and say, rewrite the list and say, I am choosing to. I'm choosing to promote my podcast. I'm choosing to shout out my guests. I am choosing to get all this stuff done that's mostly online. And it was such an aha moment of reframe for how we narrate our lives to ourselves. And so I even just am going to backtrack on what I said about not having an hour to sit down and learn how to finger pick on the guitar. I'm choosing not to have that time, maybe. Maybe what am I choosing instead where I could choose that if that's what's important to me, right? So anyway, I'm just throwing that out there in case you have a huge running list of things you have to do or that you think you have to do, and wondering if rephrasing that into what are you choosing to do and where are you choosing to put your attention, maybe that helps you this week. This is something that I am preparing myself to look at this summer. And so watch this space for a new idea that I have to share with you on, attention and social media and where we put our time and how we spend our time. This is all processing in the back of my head and is going to lead to something soon on the podcast, I'm pretty sure. So watch this space. And I have one more fun announcement that I'm not quite ready to announce yet because I'm still working out the details, but listen to these Friday digests and I may talk more about this next week. A Cream City dream of my own is coming to fruition, and I'm really, really excited about it. So I will share more as I get the details firmed up, but it's something I've been talking about for a while on this podcast. And with a nudge from a couple friends, I am going to make it happen. All right, tune in next week when I will bring another incredible Milwaukee woman who I met at an event that I organized at the end of 2024, who I just am so intrigued by and love her story so much and what she does. So I'm excited to share it with you next week. And we are nearing the end of season 7. So I really hope that you've had a chance to listen to these women who have made pivots and who are using their experiences to catapult them forward. All right, I'll be back on Wednesday. Until then, Milwaukee, keep on dreaming.